Yippee-ki-yay, mother lovers, and welcome to another episode of Seismic Cinema, where we review movies weekly. And I am Paul, and with me is
Argyle.
also known as Colin. And as you can tell, we've themed our names after some memorable Die Hard characters, but not memorable enough that Colin could remember them.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me too much.
No. But anyway, that is me doing the intro because I'm terrible at it, and I thought after how's it many weeks, 10 weeks or something, I thought I better do one. So yeah, that was my intro. Back to you, Colin. You're in control.
You pointed in the wrong direction.
I was pointing to my camera.
Yeah, what you didn't see was Paul almost chickened out seconds before we went live. So, but we'll let him off. I think he did really well for his first time. So, as Paul said, we're going to review Die Hard, which is one in a number of movies that have been pointed out recently that I've not seen and I should have seen. This was requested by an avid follower of the channel who's been listening to it on his commutes to work. A former student of mine before he turned to evil, Mr. Patrick Turton Smith. So, Patrick, this one's for you.
Before he turned to evil? What does that mean?
Yeah, well, he was an ex-student, and I wanted to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi. So,
oh, right, okay, makes sense. Okay. Sorry, I didn't get that.
That was a bit slow. Right, so as we normally do, until we think of a jazzier way to talk about what we like and don't like, we'll talk about what we like and don't like. So, Paul, do you want to kick us off? Actually, sorry, we forgot to tell our wee story. So, how many times have you seen Die Hard, Paul?
Oh, I don't know, countless times over the years.
Yeah, it's been particularly every Christmas for like the last 2 or 3 years. Someone's made a comment about the fact I've not seen it, so I'm glad that this Christmas I'll be able to point out that I have.
And
So
I was actually trying to source a Santa hat for this recording, but I couldn't find one.
That'd have been a good. Oh, I should have worn a Christmas jumper. Opportunity missed. I might dash away at one point and grab one.
Nah, I would wear one, but none of mine fit me.
Right, so I saw it a couple of nights ago. We tried to record a night before, but there was an issue with StreamYard. So StreamYard, cheers for getting back up and running again. And I watched a wee bit of the intro again when I was eating my dinner tonight, just to refresh my memory a wee bit. So that's our backing story. Paul, kick us off. What's something you liked about Die Hard?
Well, just a all-time classic, and I think probably the main thing I like, which is probably unsurprising, was the bad guys, the terrorists. And I just like the way they operated. I like that they've all got their own wee like kind of identities. Like, you know, in most movies you get like kind of generic sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like generic bad guys. They never have names or anything, and they get taken out and nobody really bats an eyelid kind of thing. But all the terrorists in this have names. You see all their kind of interconnected personal relationships kind of way. And like when one of them like gets killed, you can see the other ones get angry. Just that kind of way. So I would say, just in general, the way the terrorists are portrayed in the movie, which is a weird one to start with.
It's not like you to root for the bad guys, eh?
All he wanted was money. Just give it to them.
So, obviously, you mentioned Hans Gruber in your villains ranking, and at that point, I hadn't seen the movie, but I do agree that Alan Rickman was amazing. There was moments where, obviously, because I'm so used to him with the long, black, greasy hair of Snape, that there were moments where he just looked totally different, but then there were moments where you really did see the kind of the Snape from the Alan Rickman from Harry Potter vibe, but he was fantastic. There was one scene in particular. Nobody's pretending just to be like a worker.
Yeah, victim.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good scene, and it was really really tense as well. That was something I really liked about the film. I think it captured that kind of sense. See when he arrives at the office building at the start, and it's dead empty, and the kind of music's quite tense. So I thought they built the suspense because obviously I just read the blurb that he kind of stops a kind of robbery, and it was quite. I quite liked the way they were kind of building the tension as the movie started.
Yeah, yeah. It was a. I forgot. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I watched it again last night, and you just forget how good it is. It's totally different to like the movies of that time where it was all explosion. Like there's explosions in this, but
Yeah,
it's like Arnie movies where they're shooting about a million bullets and nobody's reloading, and it's all dead unrealistic. But this one was uh, quite realistic, I'd say. And like you're saying about Alan Rickman as well, he was fantastic in this movie. Um, you see like the different sides of him, like you were saying, like him playing like the victim, and he played the cold calculated terrorist, and also he can be quite empathetic at times when people are asking him for requests and stuff,
yeah.
which is like a funny side to see from a terrorist in these kind of movies.
There was a. It was the movie was quite brutal at times. Like the guy who's like the international relations manager, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to go convince them to leave," and he's sitting in across the desk from him,
Oh,
trying
Ellis,
trying to barter, and then they just took him out. So there was quite a lot of brutality in the film, and just kind of quick deaths that were quite intense.
yeah, the way they took over the building at the start as well, like they took out the guards dead quick, and they just basically took over the building within a matter of minutes.
Yeah. So there's quite a few characters I really took to. Obviously, my name here, Argyle. I thought the limousine driver was really. At first, I thought is he going to be one of those characters that's just over the top and annoying, but he's not in it enough to be annoying. He's just quite quirky and quite likable, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, the ex cab driver turned limo driver.
Yeah, I liked when John said he's like, I've never driven a limousine before, and he's like, I've never been a passenger in one before. So there was that kind of nice moment there.
Yeah, I like the interactions between Bruce Willis's character and like you're saying, like Argyle. Um, he had like wee conversations in the plane and stuff with the guy talking about uh, putting his feet into fists.
I really get that. That really does help you feel less tense. The That was one of the things I liked about the film was just the wee subtle moments, like the one you were saying there. I was going to mention that actually about the bit in the plane, him kind of finding out that his wife doesn't use her name anymore, and I like that you just get thrown into the middle of their argument. Like it's kind of real in that sense. It's not like you don't get all the back end story. Like this happened. Like the kind of a exposition, but they
Yeah,
just throw you into the middle of the argument, so it's quite organic in that sense.
yeah, yeah. I definitely get that. It's just a really well directed movie, isn't it? Really, really well written. I think. Like
The dialogue's good. I like the bit, the two FBI agents who've got the same name. Johnson, is it?
Johnson and Johnson.
And he just goes, Johnson, no relation. Like, there was some quite kind of sharp bits of dialogue.
Yeah, yeah. Try to think as well. I've totally lost my train of thought there, but yeah, I liked as well that Hans was anticipating like everything the police were doing, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what they're doing, he was just counteracting them all the time. I thought it was really, really clever the way they set up their defences and kind of thing when he took over the Nakatomi Plaza.
And you had the kind of inner, as you always get, and anywhere where the FBI is involved, they always just come in and take over the scene, and everyone gets annoyed at them.
Yeah. To be fair, was it the deputy chief um, who was there before? He was doing an absolutely terrible job. He should have just left it to Sergeant Al.
I was watching a few reviews and they go on about the fact that everybody, apart from Argyle and the policeman he speaks on the phone to,
Yeah,
everybody else is kind of just out to sabotage him and kind of not help him. So he's
yeah,
not really got a lot of help.
yeah. Everyone else, all the other cops can't see past. They think he's part of it. And if there is a terrorist, they're playing by this anti-terror playbook that Hans Gruber knows inside out, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, he is pretty much alone, except for I think is it Al Pill, Sergeant Pill?
Yeah, I liked his arc. How you hear about he shot a kid or something by accident, and he is kind of afraid of firing his gun, and then he's the one that kind of takes out the Hans number two.
Yeah, yeah.
And we should have said this. There's a spoiler notice for this movie.
Oh, can you see me? I think you've kind of frozen. Your screen froze for a wee second there.
I'm okay now.
You're okay now.
I'm, I'm free.
It just disturbs me that he knows the ingredients of a Twinkie inside out.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if there was any other particular things that stood out.
His lack of shoes.
Yeah, well, that was obviously to do with wanting to crunch his toes up to relieve his stress. I'm definitely going to do that next time I fly. I'm a wee bit of a nervous flyer. Not to an extent that I won't do it. I just don't really like it. Like, see if I could go abroad without having to go on a plane, I would do it.
Yeah, aye. It is a faff.
Yeah, just anyway, that's
Yeah, that's for the that's for the travel blog.
that's a wee bit of a tangent. So, is there anything else in particular that stood out for you?
I'd probably just say the action sequences, like when they're having firefights and stuff like that. I think they just do it really well. No two action sequences are the same. There's plenty of explosions. The bad guys aren't, like you're saying, like, oh, a couple of them are a bit daft and die in stupid ways. Like the guy was like, oh, don't hesitate the next time you want to kill someone or something. And then,
You're jumping the gun, Paul. That would be our dislike section.
sorry, yes,
That's, that's why I'm here.
yes, that's why you're the maestro.
Yeah, so will we transition now to anything that we disliked? So
Sure.
you were just talking about some silly character deaths.
Oh, I meant to say, mention as well in the set design for the actual whole movie.
Yeah.
You know, the offices look really like beautiful, spectacular. Yeah, I love the wee models. For all the different projects from the Nakatomi group.
Yeah, it's definitely a film I want to watch fully again.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I know the gist of it and focus on other things in there.
And then you just need to move on to 2 and 3, and then the rest are garbage.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Nobody really talks about the sequels as
Yeah.
much as the original, so I don't know if I'm going
Well,
to.
2 is good. If you're scared of flying, 2 might scare you even more. And 3,
Oh, I've flown on a plane since watching Lost, so I think I can do anything.
you say you flew a plane.
Flew on a plane.
All right.
Would you really trust me flying a plane?
Don't trust you driving a car.
I don't trust me driving a car, to be fair.
And 3 is full of puzzles. So you'd like that.
Well, I like puzzles.
Yeah.
Oh, you just reminded me of another film for our movie ranking. Thank you.
What was it?
I'll tell you. I forgot what it's called.
Puzzles.
I forgot what it's called. Puzzles. That's a good name for a bar.
Where's that from?
How About Your Mother.
No.
Remember they open a bar in their apartment.
Oh God, I've not seen that in ages. No, I can't remember.
Anyway, right. So things we dislike. I'm not a big fan of that cliched thing where the main villain dies and then his sidekick's still alive miraculously, and then he gets shot. You know, I can't remember his name.
Carl.
Yeah, I just thought I'm the kind of person that, like, when a movie's like reached a natural ending, I like it to end. And see when they just try and throw in, it's like at the end of Hot Fuzz, where one of the guys is still alive and he kind of blows up the bomb in the police station. Do you
Or
know what I mean?
is it Mr. Thatcher or something in the CCTV room?
Yeah. So I don't like when like the films ended, but they throw in like an extra wee bit just for the sake of it. What do you
Yeah.
think of that?
No, I'd agree with you in that. Like, it is just kind of meant to be like a wee surprise, but wasn't really needed, was it?
I thought it cheapened Han's death a bit because he had a really kind of good death scene when he kind of falls out the window. So I felt like it wasn't really needed.
Yeah, it's kind of iconic that him just like
Yeah,
anyway.
that was uncanny. Another thing, and the security system in that hotel is horrendous. So you come in, you type in the name of the person you want to see, and then you just get to go see them. Like, no wonder they got robbed.
I know I didn't even have to sign in or anything.
And yeah, I think it was quite obvious that she was going to have a different last name. I think as soon as it was like type her name in, I thought it was quite obvious she was going to have a different surname than him.
Yeah, well, did not mention it already. Like said something about Gennaro or something
Yeah.
before he got there.
What did you make of her performance? I thought she was quite good.
Yeah, I really like her in that. But she should have convinced him to move.
They have an obvious connection. Like there's chemistry there, and they probably should be together, but they're just not.
2 seconds. You're gonna have to monologue because my dog is scratching at the door. So. Monologue.
Monologue. Oh, I'll just wait till Paul comes back. Hopefully, it's not too long.
Play some elevator music.
Paul, come back.
Hi.
I've got a slight confession to make. It wasn't far too detrimental. There was a period in the middle where I dozed off a wee bit, but this is the issue when I'm watching movies on a school night. So it wasn't a criticism of the film, it was just me being my usual dozy self. So I would like to watch it again and kind of maybe anything in the middle. I just you're more I think we agree you're more of an action movie guy than me.
I would agree with
I
that.
really enjoyed the characters, the setting, as you said, the dialogue. I'm not massive on action. I'll be honest. See if I watch a film, just as an example, where there's a really long car chase, I get really distracted and just kind of zone out. Like I can't focus on long action scenes.
Yeah.
So that's not a criticism of this film. It's just it's not my favorite genre. I can enjoy the movie. I think
Mm.
it's a really good movie, but I just feel like when there's maybe a too much explosions and gun shooting going on, I do zone out a wee bit. That's just me though.
Oh, you're saying about car chases. There's a movie called uh, Six Underground. I think Ryan Reynolds is in it, and it's directed by Michael Bay. And I think the first half hour is just a car chase, and it's just typical Michael Bay where everything explodes, like baskets explode, things like that, and it's just so drawn out and so long. So if you're sleeping through car chases, you'll get a good nap out of that.
Does that make me a bad person, or is that just a personal preference? I just
Mm.
you know how much I love Star Wars, but I know your favorite thing about Star Wars always has been like the weaponry and the battles. I'm much more there for like the dialogue and the story beats and the character and like that kind of stuff. Like obviously I do enjoy a lot of the great stuff, but I don't know. I just thought I'd be honest. That's why we do these reviews. I get a wee bit dozy during films, and
Yeah,
sometimes too much action can help me zone out a wee bit.
yeah.
That's just me.
2 seconds, you're gonna have to monologue again because my dog is up to no good. 2 seconds.
This is why you get cats.
Yeah. 2 seconds.
Can't really get the staff these days, can you? Who wants to start a petition to get rid of Paul? Oh, did you hear that?
I did.
To be fair, you did that to me the other week. You started like I was here, and you started like a poll to get a new host.
No, I opened application.
Right, okay. Did you get any applications?
No, we don't pay enough.
Okay. So, Paul, you said some silly character deaths, or what was the one you didn't like?
You know the one where the guy storms in and John McClane's like, drop the gun, and the guy's like, oh, don't shoot, and then another guy jumps in behind him and gets shot, and John McClane starts crawling under the table, the kind of zigzag table,
Right.
and the guy on top is shooting through the table, and then he goes, oh, the next time you want to kill someone, you don't hesitate, and whilst he's doing that, he's got no bullets, he's reloading his gun, and then John McClane just shoots him.
I did. That just reminded me of a scene I really liked when Hans has got Holly, and it turns out that I think John had. Did John have his bullets, or did he just not have any bullets? Do you remember that?
I think, are you talking about isn't it when Hans is pretending to be a good guy? And John McClane gives him a gun that's not loaded.
Oh no, it's when he's actually got Holly and he's kind of doing the classic holding her in front.
Alright.
Do you
I
know
can't
what I
remember.
mean? No, oh well. Was there anything else that you didn't like? Obviously, you liked. You're a big fan. There wasn't really much I disliked. It's just I was honest. I had a wee nap in the middle.
Yeah.
So, was there anything
Uh,
else that you weren't a fan of?
well, it's not, I wouldn't say not like, but the reporter, Dick Thornburg, I thought
Right.
he was like really annoying.
Yeah,
um,
I watched a couple of reviews earlier, and he was mentioned as not people's favorite character.
yeah. And the deputy police chief, because he just doesn't listen to anyone, and he kind of does his own thing, and it's always wrong. And when the feds turn up, he just shrivels away into nothing. He's like, "Oh, I better ask the mayor, or oh, I better ask permission for this." Whereas
I,
before he was sending in like SWAT teams and all that kind of thing when he didn't know what was going on.
I thought that bit was a bit weird when it was like Hans was like asking for all these random people to be let out of prison.
Yeah, he was just stalling for time
Yeah.
because like he didn't understand, he didn't need that at all. It wasn't ever part of the plan to get these people free. He just
I
read
think
about them.
I think a lot of the things you're saying are things that it's just the character you don't like. They're obviously written that way. They're kind of
Yeah,
made.
yeah, yeah, I know, but just
That
when
was
you're watching, you're thinking like, surely they're not that stupid.
Mhm. Right. Well, we go for our ratings then. This is a record short podcast, but I think the reviews, keep them tight, is the best way to
Yeah,
go.
and it's a classic anyway, and everybody will seen it, and I
I've seen
think
it now. I've joined the club.
the Die Hard Club.
I think this is becoming our USP that talking about films I've not seen.
I know we should change the podcast name to um, what should Colin watch for the first time now?
What we could actually do once we've done the ones we've got planned is we could maybe alternate, and then like you could watch one you've not seen that I've seen, and do you know what I mean? So we're getting that kind of mixed.
Yeah, could
Well,
do.
right. So, what's your rating for Die Hard?
I would go for a good solid, excuse me, a good solid 8.
Okay,
Like,
that's not your highest score that you've given on the channel. What's your thinking behind the 8?
uh, like it's not like Legends. Obviously, it's like an 80s movie. It was good for back in the day. Like I really enjoyed it, but just a couple of characters kind of grated on me. Um, sometimes uh, sometimes the action could be a bit like they're firing a million bullets at each other and nobody was hitting anyone kind of thing. some people didn't shoot when they could have shot. But it's just been nitpicky things.
Hands shot first.
um,
That's quite sharp for me.
that was not not the usual.
Yeah.
But look, they had good solid performances from Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman, Miss Gennaro, and I can't remember her name for the life of me, which I'm really sorry about.
I can't remember either.
But yeah, I would give it a good solid 8.
I'm going to give it a 7, which when I was originally thinking of giving it a 7, I thought you would chastise me for that. But if you've given it an 8, you can't really do it. It's not. I don't think the film has many faults. As we've discussed, it's just not my favourite genre, and the wee bit in the middle where I did get a bit dozy. If I'd been fully engaged, would I have dozed off? I don't know. I felt tired during The Gentleman, but I didn't doze off. So sometimes I gauge how much I like a movie based on whether I fall asleep or not. So I think I like The Gentleman better.
So Colin's sleepy score is 7.
Yeah, I'm going for a 7. So plugs. Who's on the plugs?
You're on the plug because I did
You've
the
got
intro.
plugs. Right. So in terms of the social medias, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we are on Twitter. We've now surpassed 300 followers, which was a big buzz. What night was it? I said it was a buzz. Was it a Sunday night or Monday night? I don't know.
Monday night.
It was a Monday night buzz. And we are also live, as you can see us, on YouTube. And we are now got 3 videos on YouTube. So if you haven't watched our ranking of our favourite actresses, or female actresses, as Paul would say, and if you've not seen our gentleman review, then you should check that out. We are also on podcasts, so we should probably keep mentioning that because sometimes we reference things that we see in the camera. We need to remember we're also on a podcast only, audio only form. So we're on Anchor, Good Pods, where we're in the top 100. Whoop, whoop. The Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and I think that is all of the podcasts.
Oh yeah, when I was doing my Hans Gruber impression falling out the window on Spotify, it would just be like dead silent.
I think that's something we can think about moving forward. Just describe what's happening. So, Paul, do you want to just do the honors in terms of explaining what's coming up next on Seismic Cinema?
Okay, so after this video, we're doing a
This
double
is
dunker.
this is going live on Thursday, the 24th of March.
Yes, so
What's
after
coming out on Tuesday next week?
after this recording, we're recording our top 10 favourite movies, which isn't necessarily the top 10 movies of all time, like Ultimate. It is our favourite movies personally.
Yeah, the ones that got a personal connection.
Yeah, so that's coming out on Tuesday. And then on Thursday, we are doing The Adam Project.
Not Project Adam.
No. Oh. Yeah, so I've just watched it, finished watching it last night. I think you've still to watch it, Colin?
Yeah, I'll probably watch it the night before we do the review like I always do. It's become my wee routine.
Keeps it fresh in your mind.
Yes. Also, it's the only time I can find to watch it, to be honest.
So that's next week's schedule.
And also, the Tuesday after that, we've just agreed, is we're going to rank the Spider-Man movies.
Yes, because I eventually seen No Way Home.
Yeah.
So sad that I waited so long to watch it, but
yeah. So that will include the 3 Sam Raimi films, the 2 Amazing Spider-Man films, the 3 Webb. Is it Webb?
I was just going to call it Tom Holland.
Tom Holland films, but also Into the Spideyverse will also be put into the mix there.
Of course.
It'd be quite nice and satisfying for this to end at 30 minutes. So we've got 18 seconds to sign off. Let's do the slogan together. The power of
escapism.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in or not tuning in. We'd enjoy it anyway, so who cares? Subscribe, like, follow, and good night.
Good night.